What's up, y'all? This is Mark. I'm back again. I'm doing something a little bit different today. What I'm doing differently is that I'm doing a Big Brother recap. And as I have said in my Xavier video that I made last year, I'm a pretty new Big Brother fan, but I'm really into it. This is the first year that I've really been heavily involved in watching the live feeds and the Twitter feeds and everything. So I just wanted to jump into the action and get into the game. So let's start with Brochella. Everything seems to be going perfectly according to plan for Michael. Michael put the target on Jasmine and Monty volunteered himself. Sometimes I don't know what these current Big Brother players are doing, but he volunteered himself to go on the block. I guess he said that he was going to go on the block anyways, even if he had not volunteered, which is probably true. So Michael, in terms of appearance, is still good with the leftovers. Brittany wins a power veto, which is amazing timing for her to win, because then Michael doesn't have to make any decisions with that veto, any further decisions, and they can keep the noms the same. The only thing that they did not want to happen was pretty much Jasmine winning and forcing one of the members of the leftovers to go home. But in the meantime, Michael is a genius, because Michael planted this seed in Kyle's head before they split up that was like, we have to get out Monty and Joseph because they're the biggest threats. I might get out, Monty in this half, and you might get out Joseph in the other half. Michael is playing chess while the other house guests are playing checkers. So he planned his moves in advance. So Kyle, being fearful that he was going to be the next target and needs to get out a big target like Joseph, which was planted in his head once again, jumps the gun and tells Terrence everything after he told Alyssa about the leftovers and all that. He runs to Terrence. He says, this is the alliance. This was all the plans. Your biggest threats in the house are these people, this one and this one and that one. So Terrence takes all of that information. And he originally puts Turner and Joseph on the block. Turner looks genuinely surprised to be put on the block. So, he's trying to gauge and see what's going on. He's having all these conversations. I thought it was funny that we were watching the live feeds, and I never really thought of the fact that they're in the backyard the whole time. So it was funny when Kyle pointed out in the diary room, like, it's awkward out here because we're all having these conversations and we're just picking a corner. So they'll be in one corner having this secret conversation, and then the other people will be in the other corner knowing this conversation will happen. It's Big Brother, but it's probably much different than actually being able to go into different rooms to do this and sneak and have these conversations. So for whatever reason, Joseph, this is what I really wanted to get into. What are you doing, bro? Joseph seemed to think that even after the whole thing of last week, when Kyle put Alyssa over the alliance, he still thought that he was going to be a priority and the leftovers are going to be a priority. He kept saying, I have my boys here, Turner and Kyle. We're good. We basically outnumber them. So there's no way that I'm going to be going home. That's what he says at first. Then they get into this power veto competition, and he's like, well, I hope my boy Kyle wins because then he can take me down and put up Alyssa. I don't know what kind of deductive reasoning he was using, and I don't know what kind of lawyer he is, but this was a critical mistake to trust Kyle even after he pretty much showed his cards. Granted, I'm not going to say you should expect him necessarily to spill all the beans to Terrence like that right away, especially when he was not selected for the block. But at the same time, you knew that his loyalties were shifting towards his showmates. So come on, man. So Terrence starts to get a little power trip because he wins his power veto. And then when he's talking to Joseph, he's like, I don't really know why you're defending Kyle because Kyle threw you under the bus. Joseph looked really taken back by this. He even said, man, I'm heartbroken is what he said in his diary room confessional. So it was funny because Terrence did something that I remember somebody used to do in my school, where they would see like some kind of disagreement or dispute going on, and they'd be like, "Yo, are you gonna take that? That's a fight on my block." Terrence pulled the, "Where I'm from, that's snitching, and you know what we do with those people." So in terms of Terrence's game, I'm not mad at what he's doing right now. I don't know how much footing he has, but the only way Terrence, or Kyle for that matter, has any kind of a chance of winning moving forward is if the four of them outside actually band together against the four inside, which might be hard to do anyways. And I think the next few weeks is really important in terms of comp wins. That's why I think Michael sits really well right now, unless they target him right away. But he's already preparing his contingency plan and having the inside house guests kind of target Kyle already. Because he's like, okay, if Joseph doesn't come back, we know that it's going to be Kyle and Turner involved. And you know what Kyle was doing last week, even though he was having personal conversations with Kyle. And he also said on the live feeds at some point to Brittany that if that wasn't enough to put the house against Kyle, he would mention the whole thing about Kyle saying he's worried about a Cookout 2.0. So anyways, I don't know if the wall yeller had anything to do with this, but Terrence ultimately decided to take Turner off the block and put Kyle up, which I really kind of thought would have been his first move anyways, to put up Kyle and Joseph, because it seemed like he got along well with Turner this whole time. It seemed like Turner was his boy, and he told Turner that he was never going on the block. He was not going to go on the block. Like, you're safe. Granted, Terrence said that to everybody. I think Terrence is kind of just happy to be in power at this point. So that's where we stand for now, and we're going to see what happens. And, you know, this episode actually was not really a super Taylor heavy episode. She was not on the block. You know, she was part of certain strategy discussions, but it was basically mostly about the Joseph and Kyle situation. And that's going to be really interesting to see going forward. I think that tonight, most likely, Joseph goes home. And on the other side, most likely, I would say Jasmine goes home. And I'm going to be really interested when this house comes back together and see where it goes from there. All right, guys, if you like this video, comment, rate, subscribe, and thanks for tuning in.